All right, first we'll go through the various steps in job order costing. So we're focused on this Lockmiller company, and they have their materials, their labor, their overhead, and then we'll get to their finished product. So they purchased on account 12,000 units of materials at $6 per unit. During the month of May, the materials were requisitioned for production to these various jobs. So journalize the entry to record the purchase and then record the requisitions. So on May 7th, they purchased it. So it's going to go to materials inventory for the price of 12,000 units times $6 a unit. And then it'll go to accounts payable because they received a bill. Okay, then on the 31st, we're going to take it out of materials and put it into work in process. And then it's going into work in process to these two different jobs. So 8,400 units at $6 a unit. And then it's going to go to the other job at 2,150 units at $4 a unit. And then it's going to come out of materials. Okay. Then we go down to our labor. So during the month of May, Lockmiller Company accumulated 1,900 hours of direct labor costs on job 275 and then 2,600 on job 310. So I guess these are the same jobs. Maybe what I'll do, just because we might need them later on, I'm going to put insert a column here and then just put, just if I can get it to work. And just put in what job number is. So that first one that we did up above was for 275, and then this one was for 310. Okay, so coming back down here to our labor. So 1,900 hours of direct labor to job 275, 2,600 hours to 310. The total direct labor was incurred at a rate of $34 per direct labor hour for the first job, $26 per direct labor hour for the second job. So again, we're at the end of May, and then we're going to go to work in process. And then for job 275, it was 1,900 hours times $26. No, $34. And then for the other job, 310, it was 2,600 hours at $26. And then that we're going to put to wages payable. Then we go down to our overhead. So it tells us that we have indirect materials, indirect labor, utilities, factory depreciation, and they want us to journalize that factory overhead again at the end of May. So we go to factory overhead. And then now in this case, it's not charged to the jobs yet. So we'll just add those up. We've got 9,700 plus 7,300 plus 5,200 and then plus 10,100. And then what we're going to credit is going to be each type of account. So for indirect materials, those would be coming out of supplies. Indirect labor is still people that we're paying, so that's wages payable. Utilities payable. or it could be accounts payable. I think in the textbook, though, they have us go specifically to utilities payable. And then our factory depreciation is going to go to accumulated depreciation. Okay, then it estimates that our total factory overhead costs will be $876,000 for the year, and that direct labor is estimated to be $102,000. So then we want to come up with our overhead allocation rate. And then what we're going to do is take the estimated $876,000, and then we're going to divide that by, so I'll put a little line in here so you guys know I'm dividing. So then we're going to divide that by the 102,000 direct labor hours. So then that divided by that gives us a rate of $8.50 per hour. So that's my predetermined factory overhead rate. Then it says now determine the amount of factory overhead applied to jobs 275 and 310. So if we go back up there, so job 275 had 1,900 direct labor hours. So then 1,900 times the 850. That gives us how much is charged to job 275. And then to job 310, again, we look back up at number 2. It told us the direct labor hours up there. So job 310 had 2,600 direct labor hours at the 850. So again, we'll multiply those. Okay, so 22,100. Then they'd like us to journalize those. So then when we do the journal entry, we debit the work in process. $275, that's my job number. So 16,150, work in process, 310 for 22,100. And then we credit our factory overhead. Okay, then it says at the end of May, Lockmiller Company had completed jobs 275 and 310. 275 is for 5,000 units and job 310 is for 2,000 units. So using the data that we did above, determine the balance on the job cost sheets for jobs 275 and 310, and then their cost per unit. Okay. So we've got our description, and then we'll do job 275 and then 310. So we're going to start with our direct materials. So if we go up to job 275, what did we have go in for direct materials? 50,400. Okay, then go back up there for job 310, we had 8,600. Then go up to our labor, and then our labor for job 275 was 64,600. And then go up to the labor for 310, 67,600. And then directly above it is our overhead. So for 275, I had 16,150. For 310, 22,100. So those are the three types of costs in our job order costing. So then we're going to sum those. Make sure I don't include my product number. So just those three together. there. So again, those are our total. So that's my total cost. And then now I'm going to take it by my units. So it tells us that over here, 275 is for 5,000 units. And then 310 is for 2,000 units. So then now if I take my total cost, divide it by my units, I will get my cost per unit. Same thing here. That is my total cost per unit. And then that is what we would charge off. So is that is where I think these exercises end. But let's say we wanted to transfer those to our finished goods. It does say they are done. We're going to then debit finished goods for job 275, and that is going to be our total cost that's in there. And then we're going to transfer it for the 310, and again, that's going to be the total cost. And then we're going to take it out of our work in process. And then out of finished goods, we would then sell it. So then, and then that would complete the whole process. Okay, then this next one gives us a variety of different things and just wants us to kind of practice our journal entries for these different things. So I guess I'll start up here at the top. So A, we purchased materials on account. So materials, we debit for 770,000. And then we credit accounts payable, again, because on account indicates that is what it is that we owe. Then B, we requisitioned materials 680,000, of which 75,800 is for general factory use. So then we're going to go into work in process for the material that we actually is going out into the job that we're working on. So that's going to be the 680,000 less the 75,800 that's just general factory use. The general factory use is going to go into factory overhead. And then we're going to credit materials for the whole total. Then C, factory labor is used, 756,000, of which $182,000 is indirect. So the direct goes into our work in process. So it's a similar thing. We're going to take the total and subtract the indirect. And then the indirect is going to go into factory overhead. And then the total is going to go into wages payable. Okay, and that total is what the 756,000. And D, other costs incurred on account for factory overhead, 245,000, selling expenses, 171,000, and administrative expenses. So factory overhead, we will debit for those costs of 245,000. The selling expenses just go to selling expenses, again, expensed as they're incurred. And then the same with the administrative expenses, just expensed as they are incurred. They do not go into work in process or overhead or any of that. And that again is 110,600. And then it's all on account. So that's going to go into accounts payable. And it would be the sum of those together. Okay, then E, prepaid expenses expired means we use them up for factory overhead. So we're going to debit factory overhead. Jeez, if I can spell. For 24,400. Selling expenses for 28,420, and then administrative expenses for 16,660. And then again, now it isn't a payable, it's not on account, it's coming out of our prepaids. So then we will credit our prepaids for those amounts. And F, depreciation of factory equipment was 49,500, office equipment 61,800, and the office building 14,900. So then we're going to debit factory overhead for the factory equipment. And then the office would be administrative expenses for both of those. And then we would credit accumulated depreciation. Then factory overhead costs are applied to jobs. So when they are applied, it goes to work in process for the 568,500, and then it credits factory overhead. And then if our jobs are completed, then that goes into finished goods. And then comes out of work in process. $1,500,000. And then finally, then it's sold. So then we're going to charge cost of goods sold. 1,375. 1,000,003. Whoops. And then we're going to credit our finished goods. Okay. So then those are kind of the journal entries taking it all the way through sold.